Hi and welcome to Skein Studio. My name is Kristen. You can find me on Instagram as Skein and on Ravelry as K10, that's K10. It's been ages and ages since I last podcasted. We've been really busy with multiple things. So in July, I think mid-July, we took the business down to BENDIGO Sheep and Wool Show, which is, it's sort of like a Rhinebeck, but it's a little bit smaller, quite a bit smaller I would say. But yeah, we've never taken the business anywhere to vend with our yarns, and I've always wanted to do BENDIGO. I've actually been to BENDIGO as a, what do you call it, customer? But I've never taken my yarn down there, and I've always wanted to. I think every year something has come up. You have to book quite far in advance. So yeah, it was just never going to work. Except this year, I just put everything else aside and just decided to do it. And we had a ball. Paul came down with me. We drove down. It took about 3 days to drive down. It's in Victoria, so it's a very long way for us. And we packed our car. We had everything like jammed in there. I was amazed actually with how much stuff we fit in the car. But anyway, yeah, we managed it and we had a ball. BENDIGO is an amazing place. I remember last time I went, I was actually quite shocked at how big it is. It's a really old gold rush town, so there's lots of big buildings. It sort of has a very Melbourne vibe. So if you've never been to BENDIGO, you must go. It's a fantastic place. We stayed at, I can't remember the name of the accommodation, but it was linked to a wine bar. And so the wine bar's out the front and then the accommodation's out the back, and it was fabulous. It was right in the centre of town. We could come home and at night and have a glass of wine or a glass of beer and eat there, and the staff were just fabulous. So yeah, it was just such a good trip. So it's 3 days BENDIGO, so it's Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So we set up on Thursday, which was interesting. I've never done that before, and I was just I was quite nervous because I was hoping that our card readers were going to work and that everything would be okay. But yeah, so we set up. We were in a new section that they've just opened up. I think they might have had it last year, but they've sort of moved it this year. It's a pavilion tent kind of area. And so most of the indie dyers are in, I think they call them the garden sheds, but they're kind of the Woolcraft area sheds. But I think you've got to be pretty quick to get in there, and once you get a stall, it's yours for life. So I think people pretty much get their stalls and then they go every year and they keep their stall space. I was happy with where we had it. I kind of felt like we were a bit far away from everything, and the only issue that I had was lighting. For some reason, our stall was sort of in between the two fluorescent lights, so we had quite a dark space, which is a little bit of a shame. But next year, if we do have that space, I am hoping to go next year because we had a great time. If we can't get anywhere else, I would definitely pay for power and put lights up because yeah, it was very dark. But yeah, so Friday was just incredible. It was busy. We had lots of people showing up, lots of customers who I know their names online. I know them online, and they came to say hello. It was just fantastic. I get goosebumps thinking about it. I had such a great time. We had people coming up who watched the podcast, so hello to you guys. Yeah, it was just fantastic, and we sold out of a lot of stock on Friday. And then Saturday was still really busy, but not as crazy as Friday. So yeah, that was good. And then Sunday was quite quiet. I think it's more of a sort of a family day Sunday, so people come from all around Melbourne and sort of surrounding areas, and they bring families, and they're not really... we did have a couple of people who were knitting enthusiasts, but a lot of people are just sort of there to look at the sheep and have a day out kind of thing. They're not fibre fanatics like we are. But yeah, it was quiet and that was fine. So yeah, we had a great time, and we did actually stay in Bendigo for 2 days after. We were hoping to pack up on Monday, but we were able to do it Sunday night. So we packed up the shop, and then we had Monday, Tuesday off, which was kind of lucky for me because I got really sick. I ended up with a really bad flu and spent, Monday I actually woke up with a horrendously sore throat, and I was like, okay, I'm in for it now. And yeah, it just sort of went downhill from there. So Monday and Tuesday I was pretty much in bed. And then we drove home Wednesday, Thursday. We did the drive back in 2 days instead of 3. And yeah, I felt terrible the whole way. It was terrible. But I mean, it was totally worth it for the time that we had, because we had such a blast. So I did manage to get out and have a quick look around. I didn't see as much as what I had hoped. I had a list of people who I wanted to go and visit, and the only people I didn't get to was there was 2 farm yarns, so people who actually have farms. Tarndie was one of them, and there was one other person, but I can't remember their name right now. And I think they might have been in the Noble Pavilion, which was, I didn't get into that area. I walked around all of the, fibercraft, woolcraft kind of sheds, but I didn't get into the main pavilions. But anyway, so firstly I went to see Vanessa from My Creative Garage, and she's so lovely. I have known Vanessa online for quite a few years. I knew her before she had a business. She was a customer of ours, and then she went in and started making bags and dyeing yarn. So I went and visited her, and I found the most amazing bag, which I bought straight away. So this is it here. It's just, I mean, it's so funny because I walked over and started talking to her, and I just started fondling the display bag that she had of this out, and I was just like immediately attracted to it. And then I sort of looked down at what I was touching, and it was this, and I said to her, I think I'm going to have this. So yeah, it's gorgeous. It's like a wool on the outside. Feels sort of like flannel, but it's not flannel. It's like a wool. It's beautiful. And then it's lined, of course, on the inside, and there's a pocket and all that fun stuff. And I've actually, all of this Bendigo haul I have kept in a bag, actually at work, because I was hoping to podcast there. Okay, so my memory card just was full and it stopped recording. Anyway, so yeah, this is gorgeous. I absolutely love this bag. And it was so nice to meet Vanessa as well. Yeah, I think I was saying all of this stuff I've had at work in a bag, and I haven't even looked at it or played with it or anything. I've just been waiting to podcast. So yeah, which I've been dying to do, but we've been so busy since we've come back. So I also bought yarn from Vanessa. I bought her kit, she's just recently released a shawl pattern called the Lakeside Shawl, which is stunning. She had a sample knit there in her stall, and it was beautiful, and it was in my colours, which is this gorgeous. It's reading very orange, but it's actually this really deep honey colour. It's stunning. So it's a mohair and a sock weight yarn. So that was really nice. And then I moved on to Happy Hank, who is a new dyer from Bendigo itself, and she had this amazing stall set up. I think she said her husband she designed it and her husband built it, and it was like going into a shop. It was amazing. They had all this wood paneling and a little cash register thing set up and shelves and pegs for yarns, and it was quite incredible. So yeah, I know I was watching her, keeping an eye on her Instagram feed before Bendigo, and she was posting about the bases that she was going to take, and I knew I wanted to buy something from her. I actually have bought a skein. It was like a month before we went to Bendigo. I didn't actually realise she was going to Bendigo at that stage, and I haven't shown it on the podcast, and it's actually at the studio, but it was gorgeous. So I knew I wanted to buy something from her and go and have a look at her yarn and have a chat to her. So yeah, she had posted about this base, this new base that she had in, and it is a merino, yak and silk blend. So 65 merino, 25 yak, 15% silk, and I wanted just to go and have a look, and it's stunning. So I bought 2 skeins. Beautiful. I don't know, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to make with it. I think that's the hardest part about going to festivals like this, is kind of being surrounded by just all this beautiful yarn, and it's like you want everything, but it's like trying to get your head around what you want to make. I had my phone out quite a few times trying to think about what I wanted to make. I knew with Vanessa that was easy because she had the sample and I saw the shawl and I knew I wanted to knit that. But this yarn I have absolutely no plans for. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a shawl. It could, I don't know, maybe be a top, like a colourwork top, or I could incorporate another colour. I could even buy another skein from her in another colourway and have do one of the Caitlin Hunter tops. I don't know, but it's stunning yarn. It's so soft. Colourways, this one is Royal Orchid, and this one is Bracken. Stunning. Then I went on to see Pirate Purls. She has a really interesting story behind her yarns, where she sources solely from farms, like local farms, and she works with them, and she dyes their yarn. I'm not quite sure. I think she might help develop bases as well, but it's stunning. And so she did a tour for me, and she was telling me about the yarns and where they came from and what they were made out of, and it was just such a joy. So if you ever get a chance, go and visit Pirate Purls. I think she's on Etsy, but yes, it's so wonderful to see her yarns in person, and I actually bought quite a few yarns from her. So first lot of yarns I got were the Blackbeard 4-ply fingering, which is this here. This is, let's have a look, Polworth and Silk. So this is from Tarndie, who is one of the places I wanted to go and see, and they're based in Victoria, and they actually have a homestay as well. You can stay there, and they have a wool shop, and it's yeah, well worth checking out. They have a website, so check them out online. I will put links in the show notes. So yeah, this is a Polworth and Silk. It is absolutely stunning. I was thinking of Caitlin Hunter's pattern, and I actually got my phone out and I checked while I was there because I needed to get yardage for it, and now I can't even remember the name of the pattern. But anyway, that's going to be the top, and that's the lacy bit down the bottom, if you know what I'm talking about. So this one is, oh, so she has collection shades. Okay, so this is number 18. Stunning. It sort of has this beautiful pale brown sand sort of colour, and then this overdye of this beautiful blue. It's stunning. I love it, and I love the rustic. It doesn't feel rustic, it's very soft, but I love that kind of ply, the woolen ply. And this one Oh, does it have a name on it? Coal. This one is coal. And again, just a beautiful grey. I'm quite into grey at the moment. Then as I was leaving, she was telling me about this new yarn base that she's just gotten in. This is grown in Victoria by Cloverleaf Corriedale stud. And it's a mix of Corriedale 80% and mohair 20%. And my God, this is beautiful. Look at that. It's just stunning. It is a 5-ply, so it's a sport. And like she was saying, perfect for colour work. I should have actually bought more of this, but I sort of had bought quite a bit by then. And yeah, I can always go back and buy more from her shop. But yeah, I was thinking of some sort of colour work yoke, these being the colour work, and then finding I mean, I could even use that for the main colour, I don't know. But yeah, I just saw them and I had to buy them. And it's funny because it's not like merino soft, but it is quite a smooth yarn. And yeah, it's beautiful. So I also was lucky enough to be in where I was with the booth. Next door to us there was a spinner and her husband, I think it was her husband, and they were selling fibre, and she was actually spinning yarn at the show, and they were doing quite well. Anyway, I went over and I had a look at their yarns, and that was stunning. So I bought 2 hand spun yarns. This one, which is a sari silk merino mohair and bamboo blend. These people are called Handcrafted Gifts, and they're on Etsy as Handcrafted Gifts. And this is a 48, so 48 grams, 128 yards, so it's kind of similar to a DK. And then there was also this one sitting right next to it, which I had to get as well. It's stunning. This one is the same. Merino bamboo silk and sparkles. So yeah, I have an idea. There was this pattern that came out years ago, and it's called Olive. I'll put a link to it, but basically it's a DK weight sweater up the top, and you do this kind of colourful yoke, and then I'm pretty sure it's a fingering weight body and sleeves, and the yoke section, I'm from memory, a lot of people used hand spun, and it just looked really pretty. So that immediately comes to mind. When I bought these, I would only need to use one of them for the yoke, because it's only like a small section of yoke, and then the rest of it's fingering weight. So I was thinking maybe that. And for the other one, I was actually thinking just knitting up my own sort of yoked jumper, and just sort of threading, like doing a row or two of the hand spun every now and again, and just sort of having it up the top on the yoke. Anyway, lots of ideas. Oh, and I also got from them some fibre. This is Shetland, 70% Shetland, 30% silk. So the silk is the white, and the Shetland is that beautiful coffee colour. It's funny because I have a spinning wheel that gathers dust, and it sits in our bedroom in the corner. And I keep looking at it thinking, what am I going to do? Should I mean, I have spun a few yarns on it, but I'm not someone who spins a lot. And I'm not sure, I wasn't sure whether I should probably sell it or keep it, because it just kind of sits there. Anyway, while I was at the show and I was looking at all these beautiful hand spun yarns and fibre, I was thinking, maybe I should get back into it. And then recently I've been watching the Knit Girls, which is weird because I used to watch them all the time, and for some reason I didn't realise that they were on YouTube. I know that they weren't for a while, so maybe they've, I don't know, started to do their podcast there. But anyway, I've been watching them, actually binge watching them, and I've been looking at all their gorgeous hand-spun yarn, and so I'm quite keen to get started with that again. So yeah, hopefully. Actually, I might do that this weekend, pull out the wheel, give it a good dust and oil it. So yeah, that was my Bendigo haul, and yeah, I had the best time there. And if you did come, if you're watching this and you came and you said hello, thank you so much. It was just such a great time. We had such a great time away, and yeah, I do hope to go back next year. Now, so we got back from Bendigo, and we got straight back into work. I had lots of custom dye orders to dye up, and we had quite a few wholesale orders come in, which is really exciting. We've actually had quite a few wholesale orders and businesses interested in stocking our yarn all over the world, so it's just really exciting. But we came back, we didn't have a break. Well, actually, Paul got sick with the flu. He caught it off me, so he had the first week off sick. But I was at work, yeah, getting straight back into the dyeing, which is good. Good to be busy. So yeah, that's why I haven't podcasted, because I just have not had any spare time. I've just been crazy busy. But I have been knitting a lot, and I often find when I am really busy and I'm a little bit stressed, I knit quite a lot. So I've got a lot of things to show you. I think you'll remember, if you've been watching this podcast for a while, I have been knitting a shawl out of very bright yarn. It's just something, was a project I cast on just because I wanted to knit with colour, something really bright. I don't know why, but I just had that urge, and I just wanted something very simple, so I just knit a top-down shawl, and I put a faux fisherman's rib edge on it, border. This is with our DK weight, Voyage DK, and I did use 3 whole skeins. I actually knit the body in 2, and then I did the border in 1. It's amazing how much yarn you go through with a shawl, particularly when you get to the end of it with all those stitches. This is our Sunrise colorway, and yeah, it's just bright pinks and coral and orange, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it's funny, I never thought I could actually wear this color, but yeah, it looks quite nice. I have a melon sort of orange, which it's got a little hint of pink in it at the moment on the shop, one of our new colorways, and I'm really drawn to casting that on. But yeah, so yes, finished this, which was great. Oh, I should mention, talking about Bendigo, I did actually knit a Bendigo jumper or sweater. We say jumper. This is the Andrea Mowry, and I've shown this on the podcast before, Weekender, which I have inside out. I actually had cast this on with the purpose of wearing it at Bendigo. I knew I needed something really warm because we're from a very hot climate here, subtropical climate, so we're not used to cold weather. So yes, I knit this out of winter worsted in the colorway Close to Me, and it's like a very mottly black and grey and pink and blue. It looks great because of course you're knitting this jumper reverse stockinette, so you're actually looking at the purl side, and I love variegated and speckled yarns when it's reverse stockinette. I think they look beautiful. But yeah, it was such a comfortable jumper. It was so warm and snuggly, and I knit it quite long for me. I usually stop jumpers at high hip, but this one goes beyond that, so it was nice and warm on my back, and yeah, it was really nice. So yeah, not much to say. I really enjoyed knitting this. I love wearing it. I'll probably wear it again next year. Go down to Bendigo and wear it again. It's not the type of sweater that you would wear here in Coffs Harbour, although I suppose in winter, maybe 1 or 2 weeks of the year at night, you might put it on, but yeah. I really enjoyed knitting that. Next, I fell absolutely in love with the Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits, and as soon as it was released I went and dyed yarn and I cast it on. So this is it here. This is the, I'm sure you all know, but this is the one where you knit a sock yarn and a mohair together, and I that's actually coming out a bit yellow, but it's a very dark mossy green. So I used a very bright mossy green, and then for the sock yarn, and then for the mohair I used a very dark, kind of similar to this one, but maybe even darker than that. And so it kind of came out with this lovely shimmery sort of moss colour. Now, this is knit at a very loose gauge, so when you put together a sock and a lace, that's a 5 ply in Australia, which is a sport weight yarn. So you're knitting sport weight, I can't remember the needle size, but it's quite a large needle, which means that it knits up super quickly. I did the yoke, it's knit top down, so you cast on, you can probably see it here, and then you knit so many inches down, then you start the lace. That, I pretty much knit the lace and that first section in one day, like on and off. And then you split for the sleeves and of course the body, and I had this knit, I think I knit this in 4 days total. It was just incredibly fast. I didn't do any modifications except I lengthened the neck just a little bit. So I think from where you cast on, you do a provisional cast on, then you come back, pick up the stitches and knit up. I think it might be an inch or a couple of rows, and then you start the neckline. I found, for me, the neckline was a little bit too wide, so I knit 2 inches, and I think I might have done a few decreases as well, and kind of what do you call it, cinched in the neck a little bit and then did the ribbing. But yes, I have worn this so many times. I love it, and actually quite a few people at Bendigo were asking about this, and I had taken it down to wear, but on the second day and the third day I actually took it in and hung it up for samples, and yeah, it was quite a hit. And so it should be. It's a fantastic design, and actually my mum has her eye on it, so I think I might knit her one for Christmas. The next design is the one that I'm wearing. This is the Bloom sweater by Jenise Hope. I don't have a picture of the actual design. It's a little bit cold here today, so I've got a jacket on. But this is it here. So it's a yoke sweater. It's knit from bottom up. It's a really good design because it has lots of options. Get the schematic up. So there's 3 different options, and you can kind of swap these options around a bit. So you have this tunic version. Yes, you have the form-fitting version and then the straight body version. So I chose to do the straight body, this one here, but with a short sleeve. So you've got different sleeves as well. You've got a loose sleeve, a fitted sleeve, and then a cap sleeve, which is what I chose. The body of the the straight body version that I chose to knit was a bit long, and what you knit the rib at the bottom, and then you knit a little further up, and then you do eyelets around which increases it to the full body size, and then you knit up. So what I did is I skipped that part and I just cast on the amount of stitches that you would get after you did the eyelet increase, and then I just knit up. And then I just knit it to the size that I wanted, like the length that I wanted to the underarm. And then of course you have this beautiful lace work, which it looks difficult, but it actually isn't. It's just really yarn overs and knit two together, or slip knits. And the lace section does have bobbles. Now I am a really tight knitter, and I found, I think it's like a 7-stitch bobble. I did one row of the 7-stitch bobbles and then I pulled it straight out, because to actually knit 7 stitches together was just impossible. I couldn't do it. But what I did like about this design was the bobbles. So she actually does mention that you can use beads. So I had these tiny little seed beads, I don't know if you can see them, in my stash. I bought them like years and years ago, and they weren't all matching, they were all different sort of colours. So I put them out on the table and sort of grouped them into colours, and then sort of came up with a semi-organised way of putting them on the pattern. But yes, I absolutely love this. I used, the yarn is our Daintree base, which is a merino silk and bamboo, which is perfect for up here. It's a real summer or warm weather kind of yarn. It's a sock weight, and the colour I chose is henna blush, which has actually become quite a popular colour. But it's just such a wearable design. I absolutely love it. I did do the neck a little bit different. So she has you knit, like after you've finished the lace, I think you knit like for 1 inch, and then you do a purl row, and then you knit another inch, and then you fold the hem down and you sew it. I kind of thought that might be a bit fiddly, so all I did was I finished the lace. I might have knit a couple of rows, and then I did a 3-needle I-cord bind off, and that gives the neck this just very simple but kind of finished edge. So yes, thumbs up to that. I really enjoyed knitting this one, and I really enjoy wearing it. It's really, really nice. So that's that one. Next is the As If tee, which a huge amount of people have knit. This is by, I know it's Knit and Crochet on Instagram. Shay, oh, what's your last name, Shay? Shay Johnson. Shay Johnson. This is the pattern. I think it's inspired by a top from Legally Blonde. Anyway, it's just such a unique design. I just love it. I love the way that she's used the mohair up the top for this sheer section, and then it's worsted weight yarn for the body. It's quite like a sexy sort of, I mean, you could knit this out of a darker yarn and wear it out at night, or knit it like this, like a fun speckly yarn, and you wear it during the day. But yeah, it's stunning. I absolutely loved it. Again, this design, I think it took me 3 days to knit. It's so quick. I mean, the body is worsted weight, knits up really quickly. I did do this section up the top in an intarsia, using an intarsia method, which I've never done intarsia before, so that was interesting. She does mention that you can knit straight across without doing intarsia. I'm not quite sure how that looks. I don't know if I've seen a project that's done that, because a lot of the projects are like this, where it's quite sheer up the top. It is cropped, and it, you know, it's cropped and boxy. I do wear a, what do you call it, like a tight, cami underneath, which I tuck into my jeans, and it looks great. I'm really, really happy with this one. I don't think I have anything else to say about it except that it was such a fun knit, and I will say it's just been interesting. I've found over the last year there has been quite a few younger designers who have popped up on Instagram, and they're doing really interesting things with garments. This is one of them. I have never seen this, like, mohair and worsted knit like this before. There's also another few garments that I have on the needles and that I'm going to take away on holidays with me. But yeah, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. It's really, really nice. Now the final one. This feels like I've been talking forever. The final finished object is the Row cardigan by Haas, and she's This Bird Knits on Instagram. I actually found her through this podcast. I asked for suggestions for patterns for when I go away for a couple of Skein projects, and one of you had mentioned Annie, and I went and had a look at her project page, design page, and there are so many designs of hers that I want to knit. I really, really like her aesthetic and I love her designs, but I really wanted to try this one. So it's very textured, it's got pockets, which I absolutely love. She's designed this pattern to be knit in pieces, so 2 fronts and a back. I didn't want to do that because I like everybody else, I just like to knit everything all in one, because I know if I knit in pieces I might knit one side and then not get back to the other. The pattern here, I might as well show you this. This is it here. So it's really long, like really, really, really long, and yeah, it's great for this time of year. Probably doesn't go that well with the top I've got underneath, but anyway. This stitch pattern is actually a knit with 2 needle sizes. So you knit 1 row with 1 very chunky large needle, and then you come back and you start knitting a few rows back in the smaller needle. So every now and again you're alternating between the 2. And I thought maybe that would be a bit confusing and I'd forget to do that, but it's not. It's actually a really simple pattern, and once you've knit a few rows of it, it's easy to memorize. So yeah, basically I cast on for the ribbing, because yeah, she has you knit the fronts and the back, you join them together, then you pick up the bottom and do the ribbing on the bottom and then around the front and the neck, which I didn't want to do that. So I cast on the ribbing, I knit the ribbing, I went straight into the body, knit everything all at once. There is a slight decrease here to make a very small, shallow V-neck. So I sort of worked out on the pattern when I needed to start doing that, how many inches. And then of course you split for the sleeves, and then you're knitting your fronts separately and then the back. And she has shoulder shaping at the front and the back, which of course when you're doing it in pieces she has you casting off. I realised that I could do that easily with just German short rows, so that's what I did, and it all worked perfectly. I just did a 3 needle bind off at the sleeves, at the shoulders, and yeah, I really, really like it. I used our Bliss DK, and I was a little bit worried because when I finished it and I blocked it, it did actually stretch quite a lot. But when it dried, it shrunk back up, so that was lucky. And the colourway is Cognac, which I'm not usually a person who wears a lot of rust, deep rust colour, but I was really drawn to this, and yeah, it looks really nice with like a white shirt underneath and jeans. So yay for that. So that's a lot of projects. It's been a long time. Now, what's on my needles? I'll do this really quickly because you're probably sick of hearing me talk. I'm still knitting on the Mount Juliet shawl by Helen Stewart. I'm just taking my time with this one. It's easy to memorize. It's just panels of like garter stitch and lace. I'm getting there. I only have, I think it's like 2 or 3 sections to go and then I bind off. I'm using one of the yarns is Uptown Sock, which is the sea spray colour, and then this one's our top drawer sock, and this is Golden Hour. And yeah, making steady progress, but yeah, not rushing that one. I also have cast on, where are you? Got all my patterns sitting here. The Gentle Wind Tunic by Abbyeknits. This came out a couple of weeks ago, and I've knit one of Abby's patterns in the past, which was the party top, which I really enjoyed. So I really like the look of this. The thing is, I am modifying it. I'm not making a tunic, I'm actually cropping it. There is some shaping here, so you decrease at the bottom. Oh, I should mention, it's knit from side to side, so you're knitting this way, so you've cast on here and then you're knitting across. So you do the front and the back separately, and then this one I will have to seam this one, but this is being decreased up until a point and then you start increasing down. It gives it a nice little curve here. I'm not doing that because I'm cropping it, so it's just straight across with the lace section at the bottom. And I loved this so much, and the feel of the Daintree and the drape, that I thought it would look really nice for this top. So I dyed up some yarn, and this is it here. So that's the sleeve, and as you can see, there's my needles, and I'm knitting across, and there's a lace at the bottom. So I'm almost to the other side, and then I will bind off and do the sleeve, and then I'm ready to cast on for the next one. This is only taking 1 skein for this front side, and that's what I've got left, and then the back will be exactly the same, so it's 2 skeins total. So yeah, that's been really nice to work on, and it's quite a quick knit again too, because the lace section is actually quite easy. It looks a lot more difficult than what it is, which lace often does, but yeah. The colourway that I'm using is a new one called Mulled Wine, which is this deep plummy purple. So yeah, and oh, I forgot to mention, I did finish some socks as well, just very quickly. These are the Regia socks that I've shown on the podcast before. It's in the fall night colourway. It's an Arnie and Carlos colour range, and yeah, they're for me. I loved knitting with these socks. I love commercial sock yarn. It's really, I love hand-dyed sock yarn too, but I do love commercial sock yarn. So I cast on for Purls, which is these bright orange socks. He chose the colour. He wears them at home. He likes to put them on at night when it's a bit chilly. So that's what I've done. It's just a basic vanilla sock. Nothing major. What else? I think the final thing, we have been wanting to for a while come out with our business, come out with a range, or at least one yarn that was a little bit more affordable than the rest. I know that hand-dyed yarns are very expensive. I know why they're expensive, because I dye them. It's a lot of work. The yarn bases themselves are not all that cheap anymore. The prices of wool and cashmere have just skyrocketed, particularly over the last year, and again cashmere has gone back up in price, and there was another fibre too. So all the fibre mills that we buy our yarn from and indie dyers buy their yarn from have put prices up again. So it's kind of, it's very expensive, and we know that. So we wanted to have at least one yarn. So we decided a sock yarn, because it's sock weight yarn is our best seller. So we used to get this yarn in all the time, and it's tiny bit cheaper than what we normally buy, not much. But we decided to sort of lower the price and charge $25. We usually charge $33, but this is $25, which is about $17 US for this yarn, and we're calling it Everyday Sock. This is a skein of it here. It's 80% superfine merino, so very good quality yarn with 20% nylon, and it's a 2-ply yarn. It's extremely soft and squishy. I have knit it previously, but I decided to cast on another sample just to show everybody what it looks like when it knits up. So I yesterday actually cast on for the Ripple Bralette by Jessie Martinson. I am going to lengthen that to make it into a tank top. I'm pretty sure I only need one skein of yarn. So I also this week came up with a new colorway. This is called Sencha, which is like the green tea. So that's it there. I decided to, I'm not really attracted to bright greens, but for some reason I really like this. I think it's spring is in the air. So I haven't really done a huge amount at the moment. That's pretty much it. Just the ribbed bottom section. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I know that this won't take me very long to knit, and it's just such a relaxing knit. It's just ribbing the whole way up. So yeah. I do have plans to knit her other design, which is the Ripple crop top. It's the t-shirt style one with the v-neck, and her designs are quite cropped. I'm actually going to lengthen it a little bit longer, but that is going to be my holiday project. We are going away in about 3 weeks. We're heading off to Greece. We've hired a motorbike. We're touring the western side of Greece, which is going to be so fantastic. I can't wait, but I can't take too much, so I've settled on one project, which is the Ripple tee. I know it's enough to keep me interested, but not enough to be too overwhelming for a holiday knit, and it's only 2 skeins. So I was kind of hoping more for a 1 skein, but I really love knitting sweaters and t-shirts more than anything, so that's what I wanted to take. So even if we split the skeins up and Paul takes one ball of yarn for me and I take the other, we'll see. Because basically everything has to go into a small backpack that we can take on the plane, which is easy to do. I hate lugging around luggage. I just can't stand it. It really wrecks my holidays. So having just a small little backpack, yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that. So yes, that's everything. Thank you for sticking around for so long. Thank you also for hanging around and waiting for my podcast. I actually I was getting quite stressed because I was knitting all this stuff and I wanted to show you what I had made, and like the piles of everything kept growing, and I was like, oh God, I've got to get this out. I'll be talking forever. So I do hope to podcast again next week. I am going to try and do weekly up until when we leave. But we shall see. I'm pretty sure it'll be fine because I've caught up with all my work now. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and please subscribe or click the thumbs up down below if you've got any comments. I love hearing from you guys. You can comment below. You can visit our website at skeinyarn.com. Come over and see me on Instagram. Skein yarn and on Ravelry, of course, K10. And yeah, keep well and happy knitting. I'll see you next time. Bye.